There is a powerful truth about transformation that we each hold within ourselves, a truth that remains dormant until we dare to awaken it. Every person carries this potential, and the journey to unlocking it is not about looking outside ourselves, it's about peeling back the layers within. We've all been through those moments that shake us, the ones that make us question our path, our worth, and our ability to rise. But the key to transforming your life lies in these very moments. It's in how you choose to respond, how you rise, and the courage to see yourself anew. Transformation begins with self-awareness. How many of us go through life living out roles we didn't choose, carrying burdens we didn't ask for? For some, the past is a weight that holds them in place. But here's the truth: you cannot change what has happened, but you can change how it shapes you. Look closely at who you are, and then ask yourself who you want to become. Transformation requires you to strip away the layers of fear, self-doubt, and any beliefs that limit you. These beliefs will always tell you it's not possible, but the strength lies within you to replace those doubts with new beliefs, with new affirmations that uplift rather than suppress. Transformation begins at the core of who we are. Every one of us at some point in our lives reaches a moment of reckoning. It's a quiet realization that comes when we're still enough to hear it. It's that whisper inside that tells us there is more depth, more possibility, more of who we could be if we allowed ourselves to explore. But to get to that place, to become that version of ourselves, we have to start with self-awareness, the kind that looks inward and dares to uncover what's hidden. It's not a journey everyone takes willingly, because self-awareness often brings things to light we may have pushed down or chosen not to see. Yet, those moments when we look inward with honesty, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's humbling, are the moments that give us the foundation for genuine transformation. Self-awareness is more than just identifying strengths or weaknesses. It's an exploration of your values, your fears, your dreams, and even the stories you tell yourself about who you are. It's a willingness to confront what limits you. It's the courage to ask yourself not only who you are, but also who you could be if those limitations no longer held you in place. The process of self-awareness involves peeling back layers that life has often built around us. As we grow, we take on ideas, judgments, and perspectives from the world around us. Our family, our friends, our experiences, they all contribute to shaping us, sometimes in ways that serve us and other times in ways that create a veil over our true potential. We can't control the past, but we can control the past. But we can control how it influences us in the present. Self-awareness asks us to become aware of those layers and to decide which ones we need to let go of in order to step into a more authentic version of ourselves. It requires us to be brutally honest, to acknowledge both the light and the shadow within. That honesty, while it might bring us face to face with parts of ourselves we don't want to acknowledge, is a necessary step. We are complex beings, carrying both light and shadow. To pretend otherwise is to deny ourselves the fullness of who we are. Self-awareness is about seeing ourselves as we are, without judgment, without the need to pretend. It's understanding that there are parts of ourselves we can embrace and celebrate, and there are parts we might choose to change. But the decision to change must come from a place of acceptance, not self-rejection. When we commit to self-awareness, we open ourselves to understanding our true desires, not the ones imposed by society, family, or friends, but those that resonate deeply with our own spirit. It's easy to get swept up in what the world says we should want: success, validation, material gain. But deep within, self-awareness uncovers what truly matters to us. It helps us sift through the noise and identify what makes our hearts feel alive, what brings us purpose, and what fulfills our sense of meaning. Often the things that matter most are not the ones the world celebrates. They are quieter, more personal. They might not bring recognition or fame, but they bring us closer to ourselves. Self-awareness allows us to let go of the need to fit into molds that don't serve us. It frees us from the expectations of others and reminds us that we are allowed to define our own path. The journey of self-awareness is about discovering what our soul longs for and having the courage to honor that longing. With self-awareness comes the ability to see patterns. These patterns might be in our thoughts, in our behavior, or in the relationships we attract. Sometimes we find ourselves in cycles that seem to repeat choices that lead to the same outcomes, relationships that feel familiar yet unfulfilling, or habits that hold us back instead of propelling us forward. Self-awareness shines a light on these cycles, giving us the chance to understand why they exist and what they are teaching us. It's in these patterns that we often find the beliefs that limit us, the fears that keep us from taking risks, or the wounds we've carried for too long. With awareness, we can choose to break free from those patterns. We can choose to create new ways of thinking, new habits, and new relationships that are aligned with our growth. We don't have to be bound by our past choices or by the stories we once believed. Self-awareness gives us the freedom to rewrite our story, to choose differently, and to step into a future that is not limited by the constraints of our past. Self-awareness isn't something we achieve once and then move on from. It's a lifelong practice, a commitment to remain open to growth, to continue learning about who we are as we evolve. There will be times when we feel deeply connected to ourselves, when clarity comes easily and self-reflection feels empowering. And there will be times when self-awareness reveals things we're not ready to confront, moments when growth feels like a struggle. But both are part of the journey. The journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about continuously becoming a little more of who we truly are, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it takes us out of our comfort zones. With every moment of self-awareness, we are giving ourselves the opportunity to live a life that feels authentic and meaningful. We're giving ourselves permission to evolve, to change, and to grow. Self-awareness doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being willing to ask the questions and to sit with whatever arises in response. It's about creating space within ourselves for curiosity and compassion. To break free from limiting beliefs, we first have to understand what they are and how they've taken root in our lives. Limiting beliefs are those thoughts, often subtle, that shape our perception of what's possible for us. They tell us quietly or loudly what we can or cannot do, who we are or aren't meant to be. These beliefs are so powerful because they live in our subconscious, shaping the way we think, the choices we make, and the actions we take. They might come from a passing comment someone made years ago, or from something society has told us about who we're supposed to be. Limiting beliefs have a way of embedding themselves, often without our realizing, until they become part of the way we see ourselves. Over time, they can become so ingrained that we accept them as truth. But these beliefs are not truths, they're simply perceptions, often flawed, that keep us within familiar boundaries. The journey to transformation requires us to first recognize these beliefs, to bring them into the light so that we can examine them and decide if they truly serve us. Identifying limiting beliefs starts with observing our inner dialogue. What do we say to ourselves when we're faced with a challenge? How do we respond to opportunities or to setbacks? Often, the voice of a limiting belief will say things like, "I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes." Or "People like me don't succeed." These phrases might seem small, but they have a way of holding us in place. They prevent us from pursuing dreams, from taking risks, or from growing into our full potential. Recognizing these thoughts is the first step toward breaking free from them. It requires honesty with ourselves and a willingness to question long-held ideas. We can't change what we refuse to acknowledge, so we must be willing to see these beliefs for what they are: barriers to our growth. Once we become aware of them, we can begin to understand where they come from. Sometimes these beliefs are inherited from others, from family, from friends, or from society. Other times they're born from past experiences, from moments when we felt vulnerable or defeated. Understanding their origin can help us see them more objectively and realize they don't define us. Breaking free from these beliefs isn't always easy, especially if they've been with us for a long time. They can feel comfortable, familiar, even protective. There's a part of us that feels safer staying within the bounds of what we know, even if it's limiting. Stepping beyond these beliefs requires courage, the courage to see ourselves differently and to challenge what we once thought was true. It means allowing ourselves to imagine a version of ourselves who is capable, deserving, and worthy of success and happiness. This isn't about blind optimism, it's about creating a new mental framework that supports our growth rather than holds us back. Replacing limiting beliefs with affirmations that empower us is one way to do this. An affirmation is more than just a positive statement, it's a commitment to ourselves. When we say, "I am worthy, I am capable," or "I am enough," we are choosing to believe in our potential. At first, these affirmations might feel uncomfortable or even untrue. But as we continue to repeat them, as we allow them to take root, they begin to reshape our subconscious, creating new patterns of thought that open doors rather than close them. The process of replacing limiting beliefs with empowering affirmations takes time, patience, and consistency. It's not something that happens overnight. Our minds are wired to seek comfort, to return to what feels familiar. So at times we may find ourselves slipping back into old patterns, especially when we're faced with stress or uncertainty. But every time we catch ourselves falling back into those limiting beliefs and choose instead to affirm our worth, we are strengthening a new belief system. This process is like building a muscle. The more we practice, the stronger it becomes. With time, we find that the empowering beliefs become our default, that the voice inside our head starts to reflect our true potential. We become less affected by doubt and more confident in our ability to overcome challenges. This doesn't mean that fear or self-doubt will disappear entirely. They are natural parts of the human experience. But we gain the strength to move forward in spite of them, to recognize them as passing thoughts rather than truths that define us. Empowering beliefs have a transformative impact on our lives. When we believe we are capable, we act with confidence. When we believe we are deserving, we allow ourselves to receive. These beliefs shape the way we approach challenges, how we respond to setbacks, and how we interact with others. They influence the goals we set for ourselves and the dreams we dare to pursue. With empowering beliefs, we no longer settle for what's comfortable or safe. We give ourselves permission to aim higher, to dream bigger, and to take risks that align with our true desires. These beliefs don't guarantee that everything will be easy or that we won't encounter difficulties, but they provide a foundation of resilience. They remind us that no matter what we face, we have within us the strength to keep moving forward. This inner strength becomes our anchor, a steady force that grounds us and empowers us to rise above our circumstances. As we cultivate empowering beliefs, we also become more compassionate with ourselves. Limiting beliefs often bring with them a sense of inadequacy or self-criticism. They tell us we're not enough, and that message can make us harsh on ourselves. But when we replace those beliefs with ones that affirm our worth, we begin to treat ourselves with kindness. We start to see our journey not as a race to perfection, but as a process of growth. We learn to celebrate our progress, to acknowledge our efforts, and to recognize our resilience. This self-compassion fuels our transformation. It allows us to keep going, to be patient with ourselves, and to trust the process. In this state of self-compassion, we're more willing to take risks, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to embrace the unknown. We give ourselves permission to fail and to try again, knowing that our worth isn't tied to our successes or failures, but is inherent within us. This compassion creates a space for growth, where we can explore, learn, and become more fully ourselves. Commitment is a powerful force, one that determines whether we stay on the path toward transformation or allow ourselves to be swayed by distractions, doubts, or comfort zones. Commitment is the foundation of any meaningful change. When we decide to transform our lives, it's more than just setting a goal or making a wish. Transformation requires dedication, a steadfast devotion to taking the steps that align with the life we want to create, no matter how challenging or uncomfortable those steps might be. True commitment isn't about hoping for change, it's about deciding that change is non-negotiable. It's making a promise to ourselves that we won't abandon our path, no matter what obstacles we encounter along the way. The journey of transformation is rarely a straight line. It's filled with unexpected twists and turns, and only a strong commitment can keep us moving forward. With commitment, we develop the resilience to keep going, even when it feels difficult, even when the progress seems slow. Commitment is not about perfection or getting everything right. It's about showing up for ourselves consistently, day after day, choice after choice. When we commit fully to our growth, we are making a declaration that we are worthy of the life we envision. This commitment requires us to take action, not just once, but repeatedly. Transformation isn't something that happens in a single moment. It's the result of a series of choices that we make over time. Each action we take, no matter how small, brings us closer to the person we want to become. When we commit to these actions, we're reinforcing a belief in our ability to create change. Commitment means doing the work, even on the days when motivation is low, or when the results aren't immediately visible. Transformation doesn't happen because we feel like changing one day. It happens because we choose to show up, especially on the days when it would be easier to give up. Each small action we take builds momentum, and over time, this momentum becomes a powerful force in our lives. With commitment, we move beyond wishing for change and start actively creating it. One of the most challenging aspects of commitment is staying focused amid distractions and doubts. The world is full of distractions, and they often show up right when we're on the verge of progress. There are countless things that can pull our attention away from our goals, whether it's the busyness of everyday life, the demands of work or family, or the lure of immediate comfort. Commitment requires us to be intentional about where we place our focus. It means saying no to distractions that don't serve our growth, even if it feels uncomfortable. Staying committed means prioritizing our goals over temporary pleasures. It's recognizing that the path of least resistance doesn't lead to transformation. We must be willing to make sacrifices, to put in the effort, and to stay disciplined. Doubts will also arise on this journey. There will be moments when we question our ability to achieve our goals or wonder if the effort is worth it. Commitment is what keeps us going despite those doubts. It reminds us that we are capable of achieving more than we often give ourselves credit for. To stay committed, we must cultivate a sense of purpose. Purpose is the fuel that drives commitment. When we have a clear understanding of why we're pursuing transformation, it gives us a reason to keep going, even when the road gets tough. Purpose reminds us of what's at stake. It's a vision of the life we want to create, the person we want to become, and the impact we want to have. Purpose goes beyond surface-level desires. It's a deep, intrinsic motivation that inspires us to keep going. Without a strong sense of purpose, commitment becomes difficult to sustain. We might start with enthusiasm, but without purpose, that enthusiasm can wane. Purpose gives our commitment roots, grounding us and giving us a reason to keep showing up. When we are clear on our purpose, our actions have meaning, and every step we take, no matter how small, feels aligned with something greater than ourselves. Purpose is what keeps us anchored, even when the journey feels uncertain. Commitment also requires us to trust in the process, even when we don't see immediate results. Transformation is often a slow process. It unfolds gradually, and it's easy to become discouraged when progress isn't immediately visible. In these moments, commitment reminds us that growth is happening beneath the surface. Each effort, each small step, is contributing to the transformation we seek. It's natural to want quick results, to see the fruits of our labor right away. But true change takes time, and the journey requires patience. Commitment is about trusting that every action we take, no matter how small, is moving us closer to our goal. It's about having faith in the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening. When we remain committed, we are building resilience, and this resilience becomes the foundation of our transformation. Each step we take, each choice we make, strengthens our ability to persevere, and over time, this perseverance shapes us into the person we are becoming. Another key aspect of commitment is accountability. Transformation is a personal journey, but it's often helpful to have support along the way. Accountability can come from friends, mentors, or even from setting up systems that keep us on track. When we have accountability, we're less likely to stray from our path. It serves as a reminder of the promises we've made to ourselves. Accountability doesn't mean relying on others to push us. It means creating an environment that supports our commitment. This could be sharing our goals with someone we trust, creating a routine that keeps us focused, or setting up reminders that keep us aligned with our purpose. Accountability helps us stay true to our commitment, especially during times of doubt or distraction. It's a way of reinforcing our dedication to the journey, of reminding ourselves that we are capable and worthy of the transformation we seek. When we are accountable to ourselves, we become more intentional with our actions, and each choice we make strengthens our commitment. Embracing discomfort is one of the most challenging aspects of growth, but it's also one of the most powerful. When we decide to pursue transformation, to make changes in our lives, we are essentially choosing to step into the unknown. The unknown is often uncomfortable because it requires us to leave behind what is familiar. Growth asks us to challenge our routines, to rethink old patterns, and to expand beyond what feels safe. Discomfort is a natural part of this process, a sign that we are moving beyond our comfort zones into a space where true change can occur. Yet, many of us avoid discomfort because it feels unsettling. We've been conditioned to seek ease, to look for the path of least resistance, to avoid situations that make us feel vulnerable or uncertain. But transformation requires us to embrace these uncomfortable moments. It asks us to lean into them, to see them not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth. Each time we face discomfort, we are given the chance to build resilience, to strengthen our resolve, and to move closer to the life we want to create. Discomfort is not an enemy, it's a teacher. It shows us where we have room to grow, where we might be holding ourselves back, and where we have the opportunity to build strength. When we approach discomfort with curiosity rather than fear, we start to see it as part of the journey rather than something to avoid. Each uncomfortable moment is an invitation to learn something new about ourselves. It's a chance to see what we're truly capable of, to discover the strength and courage that live within us. This shift in perspective changes the way we approach challenges. Instead of avoiding situations that make us uncomfortable, we begin to seek them out, recognizing that each challenge is a step toward our transformation. Discomfort becomes a signal that we are on the right path. It becomes a reminder that we are pushing our boundaries, growing into a fuller version of ourselves. The path of transformation is not always easy, and discomfort often shows up in unexpected ways. It might come in the form of self-doubt, fear, or even resistance from others. When we start to change, the people around us may not always understand. They might question our choices, challenge our decisions, or even discourage us from pursuing our goals. This resistance can be uncomfortable, especially when it comes from those we care about. But this, too, is part of the journey. Embracing discomfort means recognizing that not everyone will understand our path. And that's okay. We don't need validation from others to pursue our growth. The discomfort of being misunderstood is a small price to pay for the freedom to become who we truly are. Transformation requires us to stay committed to our path, even when it feels lonely, even when others don't see the vision we have for ourselves. Embracing discomfort also means being willing to let go of old versions of ourselves. We often hold on to identities, habits, and beliefs that no longer serve us simply because they feel familiar. Letting go of these old parts of ourselves can be deeply uncomfortable. It's like shedding a layer of who we once were to make space for who we are becoming. This process of letting go can feel like a loss, but it's actually a form of liberation. When we release what no longer serves us, we create space for growth, for new perspectives, and for new possibilities. The discomfort of letting go is a necessary part of transformation. It's a sign that we are making room for something greater, something that aligns more closely with our true selves. Embracing this discomfort allows us to step into the unknown with courage, knowing that each step forward brings us closer to the person we are meant to be. One of the most powerful aspects of embracing discomfort is that it builds resilience. Each time we face discomfort and move through it, we become a little stronger, a little more capable of handling challenges. Resilience is like a muscle that grows with use. The more we practice embracing discomfort, the more resilient we become. This resilience becomes our anchor, our foundation. It gives us the strength to keep going, even when the journey is difficult, even when setbacks arise. With resilience, we learn to trust ourselves, to know that we can handle whatever comes our way. This trust is invaluable because it allows us to take risks, to pursue our goals with confidence, and to face the unknown with a sense of courage. Resilience is the gift that discomfort gives us. It's the reward for our willingness to step outside of our comfort zones. With resilience, we become unstoppable. We become people who are willing to do whatever it takes to create the life we want. Discomfort is often a sign that we are doing something right. When we feel uncomfortable, it's a signal that we are stretching, growing, and expanding beyond our previous limits. It's a reminder that we are capable of more than we once believed. Each time we face discomfort and move forward, we are redefining what's possible for us. We are proving to ourselves that we are stronger, braver, and more capable than we once thought. This realization is empowering. It changes the way we see ourselves and the way we approach life. Discomfort becomes a doorway to possibility, a pathway to a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling. Instead of avoiding discomfort, we start to see it as a necessary part of the journey, a sign that we are on the path to becoming our best selves. Self-reflection is the gateway to transformation, a tool that allows us to pause, look inward, and understand who we are and where we're going. In our busy lives, it's easy to get caught up in the demands and expectations of the world around us, moving from task to task without taking the time to ask ourselves the deeper questions. But without self-reflection, we're like a ship without a compass, moving forward without a clear direction. Transformation begins with self-awareness. We can't change what we don't understand, and we can't grow if we're unwilling to face ourselves honestly. Self-reflection allows us to examine our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors to see how they are shaping our lives and influencing our choices. Through self-reflection, we can identify the patterns that hold us back, the limiting beliefs that keep us from reaching our potential, and the habits that no longer serve us. This awareness is the first step in creating lasting change, for it allows us to make conscious choices about who we want to become. When we take the time to reflect, we are giving ourselves the gift of perspective. Self-reflection creates a space for us to step back and look at our lives from a higher vantage point. It allows us to see the bigger picture, to understand how the choices we make each day are contributing to the person we're becoming. This perspective is invaluable, for it helps us recognize the areas where we're growing and the areas where we need to change. Without this perspective, we might find ourselves repeating the same mistakes, stuck in the same patterns without understanding why. But with self-reflection, we gain clarity. We begin to see the connections between our actions and our outcomes, between our thoughts and our emotions, between our beliefs and our experiences. This clarity is empowering because it gives us the ability to take control of our lives. Instead of feeling like life is happening to us, we realize that we have the power to shape our own destiny. Self-reflection is not always comfortable. It requires us to be honest with ourselves, to confront parts of ourselves that we might prefer to ignore. But true growth requires this honesty. Transformation is not about pretending to be someone we're not. It's about becoming more fully ourselves. And that means facing the parts of ourselves that need healing, the wounds that need attention, and the habits that need to change. Through self-reflection, we come to understand that we are a work in progress, that we are constantly evolving, and that it's okay to have areas where we need to grow. This understanding allows us to be gentle with ourselves, to approach our journey with compassion rather than judgment. Self-reflection helps us see that growth is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about becoming a little better each day, a little more aware, a little more aligned with our true selves. One of the most powerful aspects of self-reflection is that it helps us reconnect with our purpose. In the busyness of life, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters to us. We can get so caught up in the expectations of others, in the pursuit of success or approval, that we forget what brings us joy, what lights us up, what makes us feel alive. Self-reflection gives us the chance to rediscover our purpose, to remember why we're here and what we want to create in this world. Purpose is a powerful motivator. When we are clear on our purpose, our actions have meaning. We're not just going through the motions, we're living with intention. Purpose gives us a sense of direction, a reason to keep going even when the journey gets tough. Through self-reflection, we reconnect with this purpose, allowing it to guide us and inspire us. Purpose is like a compass, always pointing us toward our true north, reminding us of what truly matters. Self-reflection also helps us build resilience. When we take the time to understand ourselves, we become more aware of our strengths and weaknesses, our fears and our dreams. This awareness gives us the tools we need to navigate life's challenges with grace and strength. When we know ourselves, we are better equipped to handle setbacks, for we understand that they are not reflections of our worth, but opportunities for growth. Self-reflection teaches us that failure is not something to fear, it's a stepping stone on the path to success. Each time we face a setback, we have the chance to learn something new about ourselves, to build resilience, and to become stronger. Resilience is not something we are born with, it's something we build through experience, through reflection, and through a willingness to keep going. Self-reflection allows us to see each challenge as an opportunity to grow, as a chance to become more of who we are meant to be. Through self-reflection, we also learn to let go of what no longer serves us. We begin to see the habits, beliefs, and relationships that are holding us back, that are keeping us from reaching our full potential. Letting go is not always easy. It requires us to release what feels familiar, to step into the unknown. But transformation requires us to make room for something new. Self-reflection helps us see where we need to let go, where we need to make space for growth. This process of letting go is an act of self-love, a way of honoring ourselves in our journey. When we let go of what no longer serves us, we create space for new possibilities, for new experiences, and for new growth. Self-reflection allows us to see that letting go is not a loss, it's a gain. It's a way of freeing ourselves from the past so that we can step fully into the future. Self-reflection is a practice, one that requires consistency and commitment. It's not something we do once and then forget. It's a habit we cultivate, a way of life. Each day we have the opportunity to pause, to look inward, and to ask ourselves the important questions: who am I becoming? What do I want to create in this world? How can I align my actions with my purpose? These questions guide us on our journey, helping us stay true to ourselves and our path. Self-reflection is a gift we give ourselves, a way of honoring our journey and our growth. It allows us to see that we are always evolving, always becoming more of who we are meant to be. Through self-reflection, we become more intentional, more aware, and more aligned with our true selves.